disappointing jobs report.
President Biden says he entered office knowing the administration faced a once-in-a-century pandemic and a once-in-a-generation economic crisis.
And we knew this wouldn't be a sprint, it'd be a marathon. Quite frankly, we're moving more rapidly than I thought we would.
The economy added just 266,000 jobs last month, far less than the previous month and much fewer than economists predicted. The president says job growth will continue as programs associated with the latest coronavirus relief law take effect. He's also renewing calls for a $2 trillion infrastructure measure. Republicans say increased spending and taxes threaten to further slow economic growth. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Despite the jobs numbers not meeting expectations, the major stock indexes ended the day higher as investors see the jobs report may help to keep interest rates low. The Dow up 229, hitting another record. The Nasdaq plus 119. The S&P added 30 points, also reaching a record. The Justice Department has released a proposed rule that would broaden the definition of a firearm, requiring some gun-making kits to include a serial number as a way to combat so-called ghost guns. The push is on to get more people vaccinated against COVID-19. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says there's one age group that's lagging behind.
We have a long way to go to get young Americans vaccinated. Only about 1/5 of 18 to 29-year-olds and less than 1/3 of 30 to 39-year-olds are fully vaccinated.
The Biden administration has set a goal of having 70% of adults with at least one shot by July 4th. And the CDC has given the okay for U.S.-bound international travelers to use some self-COVID tests. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
China's first coronavirus vaccine gets global approval.
The World Health Organization says it's approved a coronavirus vaccine from Chinese drug maker Sinopharm,
making it the 6th vaccine to receive WHO validation for safety, efficacy, and quality.
The agency's Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, it's the WHO's first authorization for a COVID vaccine developed outside of the West. The decision could be crucial in the organization's efforts to speed up vaccine rollouts in poorer countries. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Walmart is getting into the healthcare business.
Walmart is buying telehealth provider MeMD and plans to use the new business to offer virtual healthcare services nationwide. MeMD was founded in 2012. It provides virtual healthcare 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So far, it's been serving companies offering telehealth as a benefit to their employees. Adding MeMD's telemedicine is another way Walmart is competing with Amazon, which recently announced plans to provide a telehealth service, Amazon Care, to its U.S. employees. Ginny Cosolda, Fox News.
The family of late rocker Chris Cornell and a doctor who they claim have sued a doctor who they claim overprescribed him drugs before he died have settled a lawsuit. In the suit filed in 2018 in Los Angeles, Cornell's family claimed medication, including a specific antidepressant.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
You are nothing more than the reflection of a grim, pitiless world, and this is The Onion Week in Review. Following the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriage this week, overjoyed gay couples in Florida rushed out of their homes to have their marriages denied to them. Homosexual couples throughout the southern state told reporters they were ecstatic over the landmark decision supporting gay rights and said they couldn't wait in line and have their requests to be wed rejected by their home state. And in science news, scientists probably discovered a frog or something. They're always doing that sort of shit. In other news, an 8-year-old boy surprises his Marine father during a firefight in Afghanistan. Johnny Depp is now physically unable to walk unless whimsically teeter-tottering across a rolling log, wobbly plank, or swaying beam. And Silvio Berlusconi is transferred to a steamy, all-female penitentiary. If you're seeking a celebrity interview, stay away from that bastard Tobey Maguire, who apparently can't even pick up a phone to say he has a schedule conflict and won't be able to make it into the studio. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Check 1, 2, 3. Money order 1, 2, 3. IOU 1, 2, 3. But no, my favorite. Bitcoin 1, 2, 3. That's right. Yes, you have reached Free Talk Live. And by reached, I mean that's what you're listening to. We are a live call-in talk radio program nationwide, plus on the internet and a couple of satellite channels, where you can call in and talk about anything, whatever's on your mind. Doesn't matter. You can call in and talk about it. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We have all sorts of fun in store for things that we brought in, but of course, open phones. You're free to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. Kicking things off, we'll just go right straight to this article from Bitcoin.com published today. The FBI puts warning signs on Bitcoin ATMs in this U.S. county following a scam. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is putting up warning signs on Bitcoin ATMs in Cuyahoga County in the U.S. state of Ohio to warn residents not to fall for scams, asking victims to send money to scammers via Bitcoin ATMs. Does this sound familiar to you guys? Sounds a little familiar to me. One of the things in the prosecution brought forth in Ian's first bail hearing was that some little old lady had gotten scammed in some way, and the scammer demanded to be paid in Bitcoin, and so that's why she was buying Bitcoin, was to pay the scammer, right? So now we've got the FBI placing warning signs on some Bitcoin ATMs in the Cleveland area, Cuyahoga County, to be specific. The county and the FBI are collaborating to alert the public about scams involving Bitcoin. No news, of course, on when any of the government is going to alert the public about scams involving the United States dollar. I'm looking at you, Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Look at the rate of increase in as far as inflation is concerned. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and they're going to print another $3 trillion or something like that.
Well, they're doing it themselves, of course, and we talk about that all the time. But also, there's just scams that happen using debit cards and using chargebacks on credit cards every single day, and there's not a huge, Janet Yellen's not on the TV saying, like, we need to get rid of the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Dollars are actually the number one thing that is used basically to scam little old ladies.
Yep.
It's not crypto. And even before crypto existed, there were green dot prepaid cards. There are still prepaid cards like Visa and MasterCards.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of ways that scammers can get access to basically your money. They don't need crypto. Crypto is just one of many options.
Right.
Yeah, I know a really dumb girl that just got scammed for like $1,500 because she got a call on her phone saying, like, this is the IRS. You owe us money and you have to go buy Target gift cards and give them to us.
Right.
And she's like my age. She's not like a little old lady. She's just so dumb, and she did it. So funny.
How does she even make $1,000 if she doesn't have the level of intelligence to know that random person calling her up is not necessarily actually the IRS?
She's so dumb. You guys have no idea. And her parents give her everything. She's like that type of millennial.
Anybody could call anybody and be like, yeah, I'm from the IRS.
And I was just like, what would make her think that she doesn't have the ability to, like, check that somehow?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
they're not going to send you a letter. They're just going to call you on your cell phone.
Yeah, you'd think you'd at least consult a friend or something. Like,
she could have consulted her parents. Yeah.
Right. Like
she said she just panicked. Oh my God, I panicked. And I went to Target and I bought gift cards for the IRS.
Right. Like the IRS is going to accept gift cards.
That's so dumb. And she's older than me, actually.
So News 5 Cleveland reported this week, old scams ranging from the grandparent scam, I don't know what that is, explained Cheryl Harris, director of the Cuyahoga County Department of Consumer Affairs. FBI Special Agent Vicki Anderson warned that once the victim sent Bitcoin, quote, it's almost impossible to get it back. So the best we can do is prevention, and that's why we're trying to get the word out.
It's almost impossible to get cash stolen from an old person's purse back when their nephew does it when they visit.
Yeah, you know what's disturbing about this whole story here is that the vending machines in Keene that were run by the church actually had warnings to people to make people aware that they might be getting scammed.
Right. Yeah.
It's not the vending machine operator that is doing the scamming.
Right.
And so this whole idea that like the FBI had to put up warning signs, I have to wonder are there not warning signs at other vending machines? I suspect there probably aren't, but
it's hard to tell. I mean, it would be good business if you are one of these ATM vendors or an owner of one of these machines. It's probably good business to, post something about personal security, you know, how not to get hacked, how not to get scammed, something along. Maybe put some brochures, next to your machine or something like that. It's probably good business, right? To watch out for your customers.
It's kind of disturbing because if the FBI is having to do other machines, it kind of just goes and it brings more evidence against the FBI's case against the church and everybody in the Crypto 6.
In my opinion,
because the Crypto 6 at least were taking actions to prevent scammers, whereas apparently other legit vending machines, so unquote, quote unquote, we're not doing that.
Right.
That's what they're making it sound like anyway.
And they haven't been ripped out of the ground yet.
Right. They're registered.
Well, and in my opinion, this is the FBI's way, their method of scarlet lettering all of the Bitcoin ATMs.
Oh, so you think it's an attack on the vending machines?
Oh, I think it is. Yeah. I think it's a way for them to try and slow down the growth of cryptocurrency, the usage and adoption of cryptocurrency.
Right. There may actually already be messages and warnings to users of those vending machines, if somebody's asking you to send them money or crypto or whatever.
But not the official one from the FBI.
Yeah, and now there's a big scary sign on these people's ATM that says, like, the FBI just
it's going to have the logo and the little the FBI symbol. It's just like, FBI warning. Don't get ripped off by scammers or something like that.
And then people who were, like, on the fence and they were looking at the machine, they'll just be like, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't mess with this.
Yeah. So FBI Special Agent Vicki Anderson warned that once the victim sent Bitcoin, it's almost impossible to get it back. So the best we can do is prevention, and that's why we're trying to get the word out. The news outlet described that signs will soon be put up on Bitcoin ATMs across the county, noting that the signs are intended to make people think twice before going through with a transaction because they could be caught in a scam. This reminds me of... Remember when spam first started happening? Email, right?
No.
You get your first okay, so I'm older than email.
Oh, yeah.
I'm older than email. And there were early adopters who got into email pretty early. And then eventually sort of the rest of the population caught on and got on email. Well, it was about that time when, quote, the rest of the population, when it really went mainstream, that spam email started becoming a thing. This is where we get the Nigerian prince scam from, right? Everybody's seen the email about the Nigerian prince who's just holding on to money, just needs a bank account to put it in. And so you send him your bank account info and then you get your bank drained. So,
yeah, this is funny. I actually know the person who was the first person to be not scammed, but the first spam message, supposedly anyway, that was ever sent out was Richard Stallman. I don't know if anybody knows that here, but Richard Stallman is like the person behind the Free, not the Free State Project, behind the Free Software Foundations.
Yeah, I have heard that name. And that is very cool.
Yeah, he actually responded to the first spam message because, before they're spam, you don't know that somebody is spamming you.
I bet spam was just like so annoying before, like if you were there before there was spam, like people are just having.
Well, you didn't know what it was. You were like, why is this weird person emailing me from a strange address that I've never heard of?
Yeah. I mean, I get like DMs like that every single day. Like somebody like, hey, like, look at me naked if you just go to this website.
Right, yeah.
I'm just like, why would I want to do that?
I make a habit of checking my junk email because oftentimes my email provider will filter something important.
Yeah, me too.
Toss it in. And so I just want to make sure I just scan through it, make sure there's nothing that doesn't look obvious. But just some quick comments from some of our chatters. There's a Bitcoin ATM in my liquor store here in Massachusetts. I'm skeptical about it. 90% of humans failed the test. You deserve true freedom, so you will have benevolent dictatorship. More Free Talk Live on the way, 603-283-6160.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in and listening, everybody. It is the Friday night version of Free Talk Live. We're a live radio call-in talk program where We are live.
We're alive.
Well, we're live anyway. I don't know how alive we are collectively. You seem more alive than me. I've had a bit of a long day, but that's okay. We've been talking about this article from Bitcoin.com where the FBI apparently is putting warning signs on Bitcoin ATMs throughout Cuyahoga County in the state of Ohio. And the reason that they're putting these signs out, they say, is because they want the signs to be intended to make people think twice before going through with a transaction because they could be caught in a scam. Great. Then put these same signs up on banks.
Or just a regular ATM. You may be withdrawing cash right now for somebody who's going to scam you. Treat it all the same.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because if you ever go into the store and you buy, not every store, but a lot of stores will say, they'll put up warning signs at the cash register about prepaid, any kind of prepaid card, like phone cards even, like $100 prepaid phone card, for example. They'll say if somebody's asking you to buy, a prepaid phone card for them, think twice. It could be a scam.
Yeah, we got training on that when I worked at Walmart. Like, if an old lady is putting like $7,000, like you can't sell her that many. You need to be like, why are you buying these? And
yep, they even put limits on the number of prepaid phone cards you can buy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's and unlike crypto, there's reason to buy larger amounts of crypto, but not as much as far as prepaid phone cards probably. So
this is a quote from Cheryl Harris, the director of the Cuyahoga County Department of Consumer Affairs. The point of these signs is just to give people a chance to pause. Like, wait a minute. The government isn't going to ask you for Bitcoin. They just won't. The jail won't ask you to pay in Bitcoin, and your utility company doesn't accept Bitcoin payments.
Hey, wait a minute. Some of them do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is not true, and she is misinformed.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that the government isn't going to ask you for Bitcoin, but
that's actually not true either.
There are some places that they'll take your tax in Bitcoin.
Cities and states will definitely take taxes in some cases in Bitcoin.
I don't know about jail.
I've never heard of a jail doing it.
Yeah, but I imagine like those kiosks and stuff will eventually evolve into some method that you can, whether it's like a Bitcoin debit card or something like that, where you can like fill somebody's commissary somehow, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's actually kind of surprising that they don't already do that for jails because it would increase the profit margins on the entities who are doing the processing of payments for basically, caged people.
So the FBI and the Cuyahoga County Department of Consumer Affairs issued last week an alert to local businesses to be on the lookout for Bitcoin ATM scams. What's the difference between a Bitcoin scam and a Bitcoin ATM scam and, well, just a regular scam for money?
Or a regular ATM scam.
Yeah.
People seriously get, murdered all the time because somebody, with a knife goes and tells them, go and
take out all your money.
Take out your money.
Give me your PIN code.
ATM. Yep.
Right. Yep. The authorities are asking for businesses to display these warning signs in a noticeable place at or near the ATM. A man who almost became a victim of a scam asking for Bitcoin told the news outlet that he got a call from someone who sounded just like his son, who said he was hurt in a car accident, got thrown in jail, and needed bond money. The man and his wife were instructed to withdraw $9,000 in cash, go to a Bitcoin ATM, and then use the QR code the scammer provided to deposit the cash. The man said that, so put a sign up on your cash ATM. Jeez. Sorry. Getting a little upset here. Anyway, the man said that the shopkeeper where the ATM resided came up and said, "Can I help you?" When he explained that he needed to send money to an attorney with the Bitcoin ATM, the shopkeeper told him that he was getting scammed. Again, that's not true. There are attorneys who take cryptocurrency.
Yeah, actually, we have a number of them on hire here.
The couple then called their son and confirmed that it was indeed a scam. Well, why didn't they call their son in the first frickin' place?
Well, because he was in a cage, right? So that kind of makes sense, that part of it.
Well,
but at least try
that's what he said, but like you should verify that yourself.
Try his phone and see if it's him.
Call him back, see if he
true.
picks up, that kind of a thing.
Or call the jail or whatever that he's supposedly at, I mean, look up on the internet, what's the number for the jail?
There are tools, if only there were a device in which you could look up almost anything that humankinds have ever written down. If only that tool existed and was in everybody's frickin' pockets.
And it's not even like these tools didn't exist before the internet, right? Like there are these things called phone books.
Yeah, and the thing is okay, so just say somebody's just really dumb and they get scammed this way. That's still not the fault of Bitcoin.
And that's,
it could be any other method.
It's not the fault of Bitcoin. It is a lesson to be, it's a learning experience is what it is. And if you protect people to such a degree that, you constantly give them their money back, you actually end up, you don't really, economically speaking, they actually become more and more depressed. They lose that money because it ends up getting distributed. Those costs, right, get distributed amongst the rest of us. The scammers still get away with that money because, obviously, you can't get Bitcoin back, for example, or other, methods usually, but somebody still pays those costs, whether it be the bank or the vending machine operator or whoever, somebody's paying that cost. So you're paying more for your banking services. You're paying more for your vending machine services. Instead of paying 5%, you're paying 8% maybe, et cetera, et cetera.
So Brian P. Smith, the FBI's assistant special agent in charge, cautioned, education and prevention are the best tools to avoid being a victim of a financial scam. Oh, wait, is this a voice of reason? We don't know. It is imperative for consumers to verify financial transactions prior to sending money in any form, including virtual currency. Be financially safe. Learn more before sending. Wow. So this guy sounds like he's telling people to take personal responsibility for their actions in anything within their life, but particularly in finance. Wow. What a unique thought. Too bad that's not being taught in public schools. Wouldn't it be amazing if personal responsibility was taught for 12 years in the school system?
You don't need 12 years to teach personal responsibility.
Right, but just imagine if it was. What kind of responsible people you'd get coming out of that institution.
The ways the public school system does it, I don't know that you'd get any.
Yeah, right. I was thinking, I don't know. I didn't exactly even learn Texas history the whole time I was there.
Well, again,
I like the thought, but
personal responsibility. If you cared about the history of Texas, you'd learn about it, but you don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care.
And that's fine. And I don't either, but I only want to learn about things that I do care about, which is natural. This is how human beings learn. If you are interested in a subject or a thing, I don't know, a musical instrument or something, then you need to go find a mentor or somebody who plays that instrument to teach you how to play that instrument. And then within the context of learning that instrument, you're going to learn all sorts of things. You're going to learn math, you're going to learn history, you're going to learn geography, you're going to learn how to read music, right? So all of these things come as a result of you being interested in a thing and going out and getting the knowledge surrounding the thing.
I wish school worked like that, but doesn't.
More Free Talk Live on the way, 603-283-6160.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
A prison reform group issued a disturbing new study this week calling conditions in women's correctional facilities deplorably unsexy. The report contends that women's prisons are bleak, dangerous environments with shockingly few soapy showers and erotically charged pillow fights. According to the Prison Justice Initiative, quote, "It's a shame that in today's society we still have jails that don't encourage kittenish girl-on-girl exploration. Prison shouldn't be a hotbed of gang violence and drugs. It should be a steamy Shangri-La where caged nymphets discover the sexuality away from the leering eyes of male society." The investigation revealed living conditions that many are calling cruel and degrading, but not in a fun or kinky way. The study's author argues that incarceration should be about more than just punishment.
The purpose of prison isn't just to lock people in a box and forget about them. It's to provide opportunities for naughty girls to play nice with each other.
Next up, a team of jock scientists have reportedly thrown the cure for asthma onto the roof of the lab. We'll talk to the nerds struggling to retrieve it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the greatest show on radio and the internet and a couple of satellite channels.
Proven fact.
I don't know about that, but
there's a couple cable TV channels too.
Oh yeah, that's right. And we're like a bunch of live streaming video. We're on like Vaughn Live. We're on I think we're on Aria's YouTube channel.
There's actually a bunch of other outlets as well besides that aren't even
D-Live
listed.
and Twitch. Yeah, there's some other ones that I don't even know what they are that we're streaming to as well. So this is Free Talk Live.
There's a reason the government hates us.
Our website is freetalklive.com. If you are just tuning in, maybe you're a first-time listener, you want to learn more about the show, freetalklive.com is where you can go and do that. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the captain, and joining me,
it's Bonnie
and Chris.
We've been talking about this article. Well, we pretty much got through it, but it's from Bitcoin.com. The FBI is putting warning signs on Bitcoin ATMs in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. That's the Cleveland area. Now, if we've learned anything from the past, generally speaking, when the government starts doing something in one area, it spreads because that's what governments do.
Yeah, but this is the federal government already, so.
Right.
It does seem like such a weird thing to do to put it, especially for a federal agency, to be putting these warning, signs on like vending machines, but only in one county.
Yeah,
and then the question is, how many vending machines does one county, is that even going to have? I mean,
in Ohio, not even New Hampshire.
They're gonna spend the money on design and then print, and then however many they're gonna print thousands of stickers, obviously, because you can't just buy like a batch of like 10, unless you're gonna DIY the stickers, right? So if you're getting them printed from like a vinyl company, so now they're going to have a surplus of stickers that, of course, the taxpayers paid for that aren't going to be stuck on anything.
Yeah, I feel like, maybe at most 20 machines, maybe?
At max, you would think, in one county in Ohio. Ohio's
right.
not on my radar for being a large bed of cryptocurrency enthusiasts.
Definitely not.
Yeah, Cleveland has like 500,000 people or less. I looked it up because I drove through there and I was like, wow, it's a crazy looking city.
Off topic, if you have a chance to find the hastily made Cleveland tourism videos, part 1 and part 2 on YouTube, they're freaking hilarious. But speaking of Bitcoin, Bitcoin.com, which is where the story came from, is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com to get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. All right, so because I'm paying attention today, no, this doesn't mean I will always pay attention to this, but some folks in the chat have opined that people put these credit card and debit card skimmers on gas pumps all the time.
Yeah.
Which is true. But you don't see the FBI throwing up warning stickers on the gas pumps, do you? Hey, warning, you might get scammed by some unscrupulous person while you're using, probably the most used method of payment, a credit or debit card.
And this should tell you two things. It should tell you, one, that the government is afraid of Bitcoin and is trying to slow down Bitcoin, and also just that the government doesn't actually care about you. The government isn't out there trying to make sure there's no way for you to get scammed or cut down on scams. They're trying to make sure that if you get scammed, at least you're using their fiat money.
Yeah, no, it's even more than that. They're trying to line. So there's different aspects of this, but the politicians want to, they want to get elected, so they're going to do the fear porn. And as far as the law enforcement, on the other side of it, they're pocketing every time, there is fear porn, they're pocketing from that. It's called a paycheck. They're also pocketing from overtime that they get as a result of, making you afraid of things like, DUI drunk drivers, things like that. So they set up DUI checkpoints, and then the federal government pays out money. And then, that's how, you might think, your law enforcement agents aren't getting paid that much, but they actually are, after you factor in things like overtime. $120,000. The guy who arrested me in Manchester, a couple years ago, $120,000 is what he got that prior year. So, with overtime.
That's his salary?
That was his salary in Manchester.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, these law enforcement
No wonder
agents,
people take these jobs, even though they're
a job you might think, pays $30,000, $40,000 a year, maybe. Nope. $120,000.
Yeah, And that would be a good reason that they wouldn't quit their job, even if they, are starting to realize, these people are kind of evil and they're kind of making me go along with evil things. And they're like, I don't want to lose my job. And you're just like, you could get any other job. Well, you're not going to get an easy job where you drive around and eat donuts all day for $120,000 a year.
There's not a whole lot of jobs that you can get that are going to pay you $120,000 a year, when it comes to having a low IQ, right? I mean, if you think about it, they won't even hire you in law enforcement if you have a high IQ. So, it's
true fact.
Yeah.
Actual true fact this time.
Yep.
So since we're talking about, we were talking about Bitcoin, specifically the warning signs that the FBI is putting on ATMs. I have this also from Bitcoin.com that I've been sort of waiting for, a nice segue to. This is from 4 days ago. E-commerce giant eBay is looking at accepting cryptocurrency for 187 million buyers, the CEO reveals. eBay is looking at cryptocurrency as a payment option for its 187 million buyers on the platform, the company CEO has revealed. The e-commerce giant is also exploring opportunities in the non-fungible token, or NFT, business. Can you imagine auctioning? Like, already NFTs are sort of a craze amongst creators, right? Creative people who have, media creators, like memes are being sold now, or original memes are being NFT'd and then sold.
Picture Paris Hilton drew.
Right. It will be a matter of time until there's music. I know Kevin Smith is doing a movie that will be sold as an NFT to whomever, and whoever buys it, they can decide what to do. If they want to release the movie, they can release it. If they want to keep it for themselves, just watch it by themselves, they could do that, that kind of a thing. So we'll see what happens with NFTs. But eBay is looking into adding cryptocurrency as a payment option, according to eBay CEO Jamie Ione. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He said in a CNBC interview on Monday that the company is looking at accepting cryptocurrency as a payment option. He was asked about how eBay is responding to the rise in popularity and the adoption of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The CEO replied, quote, "We are expanding the types of payments that we take. We now take Apple Pay and Google Pay, more choice for buyers. We will continue to look at other options like cryptocurrency." He added, "One of the great things about eBay is that when there's a new trend, it just shows up on eBay. That's what we're seeing in areas like NFTs, which is why we are looking at how we can explore that better." He also noted that eBay has 187 million buyers on the platform, which was reported in the company's Q1 earnings release. He was also specifically asked, "Does that mean you're getting into the NFT business?" He replied, "We're looking at it and exploring opportunities on how we can enable it on eBay in an easy way." I mean, I think there's just one more paragraph here, but I think a cryptocurrency integration with eBay makes a whole lot of sense and really shouldn't be that difficult.
In the good old days of eBay, you didn't go through eBay or PayPal for payments. You offered different options. Like, for example, I remember accepting money orders and checks back in the day.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully they can return to that type of a model where, hey, if you want to use PayPal or you want to use a debit card, you sure can. Or you can use this handy cryptocurrency. 603-283-6160. Would you buy stuff on eBay using cryptocurrency?
Heck yeah.
More free talk. I'm talking to the listeners, not you. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen to Free Talk Live. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever you would like to talk about. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you would like to join the conversation tonight. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We were talking about this bit from Bitcoin.com also, because the previous article was also from Bitcoin.com. This one states that e-commerce giant eBay is looking at accepting cryptocurrency. Apparently, eBay has over 187 million users, according to the CEO. And this could be huge for cryptocurrency. Now, it doesn't get into the nuts and bolts of like, well, we're planning to blah, blah, blah. We'll do a... It doesn't get into any of that. It just says we're looking into it.
eBay only has 170 million users?
187.
187. That's like...
It's 200 million
that's
users.
like 2/3 of the U.S. population.
Yeah.
Is that worldwide or in the U.S.?
I assume it's worldwide.
That's really tiny if it's worldwide.
187 million buyers. These are specifically buyers, so I would assume that they rate users or sellers in a different category. They're specifically saying buyers. This would mean to me people who go on eBay looking to buy something.
Yeah.
As opposed to people who go on eBay looking to sell something.
Yeah, still seems very small.
Yeah.
I mean, eBay is the place for, I want to say auctions, but really for buying stuff.
Like,
but is it still
187 million people is still, that's a large quantity. That's a big audience.
And is it still like the place with Amazon? Amazon kind of does a similar thing.
It's right up there with Amazon. Yeah. I mean, it's probably second to Amazon, but it's still right up there as one of the largest sites for, and that's why I'm saying, like, I mean, for it to only have 200 million people worldwide is not that much.
So PayPal used to be eBay's subsidiary until 2015 when the company spun off the payments giant to its shareholders. PayPal launched its crypto service last year and enabled what they're calling crypto payments at millions of stores in March.
Trying to figure out how to do that one.
Yeah, it's not really. It's a convoluted
lie.
It is. It really is, because what they do is they take your money and they put it into a bucket, and they call that bucket Bitcoin. And then they rate that bucket along with whatever the USD value to Bitcoin is. And then if you're shopping and you want to use PayPal, you can, instead of spending from your regular bucket of USD, you can spend from this bucket of Bitcoin. But you can never get your keys for your Bitcoin. That is to say, you can't get your actual money, your Bitcoin, off of PayPal.
Is that all exchanges? Like, is Coinbase that way?
No. Coinbase, if you leave your coins on Coinbase, then Coinbase has your keys. In the Coinbase wallet, Coinbase has your keys. If you move your coins off of Coinbase, whether it's the website or the app, to something like a hardware wallet, why, then you do have your keys, and now it is your money.
Can you just change it from Coinbase to like Edge Wallet and get your keys?
So
you can.
The problem with using the Coinbase wallet is that when you send the crypto out, like to make a payment, for example, they don't actually send the payment out right away. So it won't say paid, for example, like if you were to use it to try and pay a business for something. So the business owner will never see paid on his screen. It's very weird the way they do it. It's not a normal wallet. It's
janky.
Yeah.
Well, the Coinbase wallet wasn't necessarily designed to facilitate payments. It was designed to show you your portfolio, right? Because Coinbase is geared everything
trading
to your portfolio. Their big business, of course, is trading.
Yep.
So, but I haven't had, I still have a Coinbase account. Occasionally, I'll move something in it or move some into cash, small amounts, to one of my bank accounts and that kind of a thing. So when I have to use it, it's there. I don't like using it because I don't like their policy of turning over people's information to federal authorities just because they ask.
So they can steal from you.
So do they just do that routinely now, or was that like a one-time thing?
Well, they went through some sort of a lawsuit, if memory serves,
they were forced to, I do believe. I believe they did try to stop them.
Yeah.
And I think they were successful to some degree. So I believe, if I recall correctly, the restriction was you had to do $20,000 or more in acquiring crypto through Coinbase before they were forced to hand it over. And that was based on a court decision. So, right. I mean, look, I don't like Coinbase, but to some extent, I can't blame them for the outcome of what happened.
Well, and also their business model is to, get folks onto their platform, get them trading. So
yeah,
within the context of what their business model is, I understand why Coinbase does the things they do. I just don't like the fact that they just didn't tell the feds to.
Yeah, it's if they were freedom people, they would have done something closer to what Shapeshift did by decentralizing.
Well, yeah, except Shapeshift didn't really do that. So the first thing Shapeshift did.
All right, go on.
First thing Shapeshift did was they came out and they were totally decentralized, and it was great.
Yep.
The only way that you would get blocked from their service is if you were trying to visit their website from a United State that didn't like that website, and the ISP would block you. I know this because I lived in Washington State.
The ISP would block you in the United States?
The ISP would, like Washington, if I was coming from a IP based in Washington State and I went to shapeshift.com.
That was Shapeshift blocking you, not the ISP.
Well, Shapeshift is blocking the IP from Washington State because Washington State said that that's illegal, right? Using Shapeshift for whatever reason, Washington State said that's illegal. So that's the first thing that Shapeshift did. Shapeshift then bought KeepKey, which is the number 2 hardware wallet on the market next to the Trezor.
Interesting.
They were an independent company, and I actually bought one because I lived in Washington State, and they were like a 4-hour drive from me. And I thought, it'd be cool to go over there and like meet the people, get a tour of the office, and if I ever needed support, I know where to go. This kind of a thing. So Shapeshift then buys KeepKey and says something along the lines of, "Hey, we're going to integrate Shapeshift into the KeepKey itself." And I'm thinking, this is awesome. A hardware wallet that's completely secure and has the Shapeshift abilities in it. And so while I'm thinking this is awesome, I finally get the email that says, okay, we're going to integrate these things on this date. All we need you to do is complete your KYC information, know your customer, which means uploading some sort of a document, generally a government ID, a birth certificate, that type of thing, confirming your address and phone number, etc., and so on. Stuff that Eric Voorhees, supposed libertarian, said he would never do. And he went ahead and did it. And so I then was placed in a position where I had cryptocurrency on a hardware wallet that was going to require me to put in KYC information to get the cryptocurrency off of the wallet.
Good. So wait, so was it, so anything that you did after that point was, you had to do KYC or you couldn't send the crypto out, or?
So I contacted support, of course, because, I'm me. And I'm like, dudes, what up? Right. I explained the situation. I didn't, I put it into different words for the technicians and all that kind of thing. But it took some time. I had to kind of annoy them, be like, hey, I haven't heard back from you guys on this. What's going on? Eventually, they released a firmware upgrade for the KeepKey.
Okay.
And then if you did the firmware upgrade, you could access your funds on your KeepKey and move them off.
Okay.
But you could not participate in Shapeshift without doing KYC or creating an account, which, of course, forced you to do KYC.
Okay.
Inside of the KeepKey itself. So I eventually moved off of that particular hardware platform because, if you're going to say you're decentralized and you're going to say you're libertarian and then you're going to violate your own rules, why? I'm not going to do business with your company.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the interesting thing. This is one of the reasons why I'm very particular about hardware and not buying hardware that is got proprietary firmwares and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think, well, it's just the firmware, right? But the problem is if that firmware gets updated, right, and then you lose your crypto because they require something stupid
You've got
like
outdated
this.
firmware,
Right. That's a problem, and this is why it's important to have the source code for everything that you use, not just the drivers, but also the firmware on the devices, ideally.
So is Trezor like that? Do they make you do KYC?
Trezor does not.
Do they have proprietary firmware?
They do.
Is it Ledger that doesn't?
I don't remember because
one of them does.
I got whatever the
software.
newest one was. It was the 100 and
is it the Trezor 1? I think they do actually have free firmware, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is the Trezor 1. Is that their new one?
No.
Trezor T. Trezor T is the new one, right?
The T.
Yeah,
right?
they definitely have free firmware. The sources are available.
Okay.
For the firmware, so they're good.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A new indictment. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd now face federal charges.
A federal grand jury has indicted former Minneapolis police officers Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, Jay King, and Tu Tao. All 4 involved in last year's arrest and death of George Floyd. They're accused of violating Floyd's constitutional rights. Derek Chauvin is also named in a second indictment stemming from a separate arrest and neck restraint in 2017. Chauvin awaits sentencing following last month's conviction on state murder and manslaughter charges. The 3 other officers head to state trial in August in that case. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
In Alabama, a jury has convicted a police officer of murdering a suicidal man who was holding a gun to his own head. William Darby was charged with killing Jeffrey Parker in 2018. Prosecutors had said that Parker was killed without cause, but his defense had argued the shooting was justified because Parker posed a threat to Darby and other officers. A Georgia judge has set an October trial date for 3 white men charged with murder in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man shot while out running last year. President Biden sounding optimistic, even as today's jobs report didn't meet expectations.
We knew this wouldn't be a sprint, it'd be a marathon. Quite frankly, we're moving more rapidly than I thought we would.
The economy added 266,000 jobs last month, far less than the previous month and much less than projections. But the president said as jobs programs associated with the latest coronavirus relief package take effect, job growth will increase. The Biden administration is setting aside nearly $22 billion in emergency rental assistance to help prevent evictions for people who lost jobs during the pandemic. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
South Carolina's governor has announced the end of the federal pandemic unemployment assistance in that state.
Governor Henry McMaster has directed the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce to stop participation in the federal unemployment compensation program at the end of June. This means unemployed workers in that state will lose an extra $300 a week that was scheduled to run through September. In a letter to the director of the state employment department, McMaster said the payments were creating a labor shortage and that food service and hospitality industries are hard hit. Unemployed South Carolinians will lose out on an estimated $585.3 million in additional federal benefits from the programs. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
China says the upper stage of its rocket that's supposed to re-enter the atmosphere this weekend will mostly burn up on re-entry, and it says it will pose little threat to people and property on Earth. A foreign ministry spokesman says Chinese authorities will release information about the rocket in what they're calling a timely manner. China's space agency hasn't said if the main stage of the rocket is being controlled or if it's making an uncontrolled descent. A group of scientists say Antarctic ice will melt faster and faster later this century, causing near irreversible changes to sea levels.
A study being published in the journal Nature says the planet is continually heating, and by the time we reach the year 2060, the heat will be so great there will be an abrupt jump in the pace of the melting of the Antarctic ice cap.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
It's the Onion Radio News. All 7 deadly sins were committed at a church bake sale. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Avarice, sloth, envy, lust, gluttony, pride, and wrath. All 7 of the fabled deadly sins were committed on Sunday at the twice-annual bake sale at St. Mary's of the Immaculate Conception Church. According to St. Mary's treasurer, Beth Ellen Coyle, church-sponsored events are a notorious breeding ground for these treasonous acts against the Lord God.
This is supposed to be about the glorification of God, not violating His word. Do that, and you're no better than that cheap strumpet Melissa Wyckoff with those sinful chocolate cookies of hers.
The 7 deadly sins were first outlined in the 5th century by Gregory the Great, who himself was, as indicated by his very name, toying dangerously with the sin of pride. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 2 of this 3-hour program known as Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us on air, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. You can comment on anything we've talked about, bring up something completely different. Doesn't matter. It's called Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Now, I would like to move off of the cryptocurrency topic, but I just have so much show prep that we're not going to do it just yet. What I do want to point out is, or ask you guys as well as the callers, have we reached the tipping point where cryptocurrency is going mainstream?
Yeah, Paris Hilton has laser eyes on Twitter.
That seems like a mainstream maneuver.
That's a good question. I would say yeah. It's at least increasing in popularity.
Yeah.
I don't think going mainstream is the right word, but definitely increasing in popularity. I've firsthand seen a substantial increase in the use of people not just trading it but spending it.
Nice.
So I think it definitely has. And if you're not on it at this point, you're kind of behind the curve.
Yeah, I think so too. And just to highlight that, I know you said that Paris Hilton has the laser eyes, and there's some other either pseudo celebrities or athletes or celebrities themselves who have made mention of Bitcoin. For example, we've talked about Russell Okung. He's a offensive lineman formerly of the Seattle Seahawks. I think he plays with the Chiefs. I don't remember. He's with a different team. But anyway, he was the first NFL player to ask for his salary in Bitcoin. And at first, the NFL was like, and then he worked with some people, some consultants in the NFL to make that happen. So a third party, I know it sounds weird. You don't need to insert a third party in between your pay and your cryptocurrency, but they did in this case to help them figure out the logistics of doing that. And he didn't take all of his salary. He took like his signing bonus in Bitcoin.
That was probably a mistake.
It was still a large chunk of money. And just doing that made him the highest paid NFL player, period, because Bitcoin went up shortly after he put his signing bonus into the Bitcoin. So we talked about him, and now this is the Kansas City Chiefs tight end Sean Culkin to convert entire NFL salary into Bitcoin. He's a fifth-year player, and he will use a service called Zapp's Strike to take his entire base salary of $920,000 in what Culkin said was the hardest form of currency. So we're getting folks that you wouldn't expect financial advice or financial news to be made. Like generally people don't look to NFL football players for their financial advice, right? But here we have NFL football players who are taking their pay in Bitcoin. I stand corrected. Russell Okung plays for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I know people who took entire paychecks in crypto 5 years ago and in this area, and they are retired now.
Right.
And we're talking about people who are making close to minimum wage.
Yeah.
So
now this article goes on to say taking 100% of one's income in Bitcoin might not be a wise financial decision for everyone, Culkin admitted. But he said his financial expenses, risk parameters, and long-term conviction in Bitcoin made it the right move for him.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair statement because not everybody, look, if you have to have cash to pay your rent and you put all your money into crypto and then at the end of the month crypto is down and you needed that and you have to convert to cash, you won't have enough to pay your rent. However, if you have $20 to spare every month, and you throw it into crypto and crypto goes down, you don't have to pull out.
Right.
So you'll end up being better in the long term.
Right.
It's just a matter of keeping your priorities straight.
It's a solid strategy, in my opinion.
Yep.
He also said he's unfazed by the very real possibility of market dips. Strike will automatically convert his cash paychecks to Bitcoin no matter the price. He says,
smart move.
I don't want to have to feel pressured to be like, I don't know if I'm going to buy this week. Culkin said the system will allow him to remain detached from market movements so he can just focus on football.
Exactly, because you're early into like all crypto. It's just going to keep going up.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it. Just hold it.
I mean, basically what he's talking about is doing dollar cost averaging. So it's a smart move.
Culkin wasn't the first footballer to make crypto news on Monday. Trevor Lawrence, the presumptive top pick in this week's NFL draft, that already happened. He signed an endorsement deal with the FTX-owned investing app Blockfolio and was paid in an undisclosed cryptocurrency. I've actually got an article about him to follow this one. But I just wanted to finish with Culkin's final statement. For me, it makes sense to get paid in the hardest form of currency, and it's something that is resistant to inflationary pressures that I think is very relevant in this current economic environment. And who says football players aren't intelligent?
All I'm thinking right now is just like...
There's always an exception in the bunch.
That's right.
All I'm thinking right now is just like the idea of people who just like... I'm sorry, like it's a little off topic, but the idea of people who are just like going along with all this like mask stuff, yes, and stuff that is going to give the government more control when you just absolutely don't need to do that anymore because of Bitcoin. Like honestly, if you are wanting to have the government have more control of your life, when you clearly see this answer to how things could be done another way, then you're just a cuck.
Ooh. Strong words coming from Bunny. I mentioned Trevor Lawrence, and this is from FEE.org, or the Foundation for Economic Education. Trevor Lawrence is taking his entire signing bonus in cryptocurrencies. Here's why. Football star Trevor Lawrence's signing bonus is expected to be in the ballpark of $22.5 million. Trevor Lawrence just lit another fire under cryptocurrencies. The former Clemson University standout quarterback, who is expected to be nabbed with the first overall pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars Thursday night during the NFL draft in Cleveland, announced on Monday he was diving into the cryptocurrencies craze. He's already been drafted. I don't know if he went to the Jaguars or not. It's irrelevant to the story. Lawrence's signing bonus will come in cryptocurrency, which will be deposited into his Blockfolio account in a variety of crypto coins such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge, Sports Illustrated reported.
Wow, he's getting paid in Doge. That's pretty cool.
Right? Yeah,
Wait,
well, partially.
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
His
Not only
paycheck.
Doge.
Look, I am taking back the exception comment that I made 5 minutes ago.
Do you need more
No,
volume to hear what we're talking about?
Only part Doge. It was like Ethereum.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
And
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge. It says his paycheck will be deposited into his Blockfolio account, which has a variety of cryptocurrencies such as
Fair
Bitcoin,
enough.
Ethereum,
I
and
mean,
Doge.
I have to say, if you did have $50 of Doge here recently, it did go up to like you would end up with like $500 this past week. I don't know if it's gone down since then, but 50 to 500 ain't bad.
well, it's only at 60 cents about right now, and Elon Musk hasn't talked about it on SNL yet. So I'd say
I was going to say he's due to make an appearance, a hosting appearance, I believe, on Saturday Night Live. He's hosting the show.
yes, and he said that he's going to talk about Doge on it, and I just know he's going to anyway because he's been tweeting about it constantly. He said he's going to put a literal Dogecoin on the literal moon. But yeah, so once Elon Musk talks about it this Saturday Night Live, then yeah, I'm probably going to sell a little bit right then, but I'm going to keep a lot still.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to sell what I put in and then keep the rest.
Hedge your bets.
That's
just in
not
case
a bad
it does go
strategy.
sky high.
Yeah. Don't risk more than you can stand to lose. I know early on in Bitcoin, when people figured out kind of that it was going to be valuable and worth stuff, we had stories of people taking out second mortgages on their house and losing their ass on the deal. So
yeah.
But if they would have just held instead of,
This is true.
I can't argue that with you, but
bad timing.
you need a place to live. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
603-283-6160 is our phone number. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Pet Names Talk Live.
Pet Names Talk Live. Yeah, I don't know about that. Might be a little off topic for tonight's agenda. But
Unless you call in and ask me for relationship advice, because I have the best boyfriend ever.
You do. You really do.
How does that make you qualified to give relationship advice?
Because I was so picky. Like, seriously, like all my gay guy friends watching me look through guys on the internet. No, he's not cute. He's not cute. I'm just so picky. I have refined the perfect boyfriend.
And that makes you qualified to give other people relationship advice?
Yeah, to explain to
them
them
see how.
If they need to leave their boyfriend or not. It's not just looks. Ian is perfect in multiple ways.
I so know what you mean. I'm not into him, don't get me wrong, but
it's fine if you are.
I
Everyone should
totally
be.
Yeah, no. There's just certain people that are right for each other, you know what I mean?
Aww.
And he's got so many good qualities too.
Aw, he does. I wish he was listening, but he's not.
Yeah,
Not tonight. It's not on the radio station.
Yeah, there's some sports thing that he can't tune in. It's
sports.
Dumb. It's dumb.
Sports Bowl.
I just want to finish off this bit about this guy, Trevor Lawrence, taking his NFL salary in Bitcoin. The decision is by no means a slam dunk. Some economists have warned that cryptos are simply a bubble waiting to pop, arguing they have no intrinsic value. Neither does the dollar.
I know, right?
All of their arguments about cryptocurrency are just
that's not true
turn
about
it around
crypto.
and turn it around and face it at your own the state currency, and now it is true, right?
But actually, that's more true about state currency than about Bitcoin.
Right, because the state currency can't be exchanged electronically over long distances, whereas crypto can, and it's built in. If you go to a bank, you can transfer dollars in quotes, basically. But look at it this way: you're going to pay for that service,
And also just the fact that there's not really as much scarcity in the US dollar as even there is in Dogecoin, I learned recently. I could be fact-checked, but somebody on Twitter was saying, the joke about Dogecoin is, it's ridiculous for scarcity as far as, Bitcoin goes, but not as far as the US dollar goes.
it's even more inflationary, the U.S. dollar, than Dogecoin. You're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you might be right. And I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like twice as many Dogecoin gets printed every year as the year prior, or something like that.
Oh my God.
So it's like it should be going down, but because the demand is just so insane right now, it's going up. But you're going to be losing money with it, at some point, almost certainly.
Okay, I won't hold it indefinitely, but I will until SNL.
Well, speaking of cryptocurrency, we all are intimately familiar with the Crypto 6. But for those of you who aren't, on March 16th, 2021, government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. These people are known as the Crypto 6, and they were all arrested and taken into custody. Ian Freeman and the person named Nobody both remain in custody while everybody else is out on bail conditions. What can you do to help? Well, you can go to thecrypto6.com. There's multiple ways there where you can donate to their legal defense fund, because these charges are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal firepower and many experts to protect the Crypto 6 from further aggression from the state. There's also some updates and some other things available, some videos. You can get a Crypto 6 t-shirt there. There's some links at thecrypto6.com. But this case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come.
It's going to affect people who don't even realize that cryptocurrency is going to be a thing, in their lifetime. So even if it doesn't affect you right now because you don't have any crypto, it will tomorrow.
Yep. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com.
It might not affect you if you just want to go along with the 2030 agenda and say, I have no belongings and I've never been happier. Maybe if that's the type of person you want to live like.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like people don't understand it right now, I think, at a local level, because they don't understand that the only thing that competes with the US dollar as far as international people think about it this way. The US dollar is used outside the United States, right?
It is.
How many other currencies are used outside or around the world other than the US dollar? Probably nothing else.
Right, because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency.
There is one. Cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. They're the only competition to that.
Cryptocurrency is literally the only competition to the US dollar. Euros? Venezuelan dollars? Certainly not.
Yeah.
Canadian dollars? Pfft, no way.
If you're
Cryptocurrency?
against,
yeah.
It was something that's just so obvious and occurring to me for the first time right now. It's just like, if you're against Western imperialism, you should be against, the US dollar. Well, you should be for Bitcoin.
My business has never taken euros, but you know what we have taken? Cryptocurrency.
Yep.
And from people all over the world.
Well, this NFL draftee, Mr. Lawrence, he made the announcement, which was followed immediately by Ethereum hitting the all-time high of 2,650. It's since surpassed 3,500. It's just the latest example of a large story. Cryptocurrencies have gone mainstream, according to this writer. Why are cryptos going bonkers? Well, there's no question that cryptocurrencies are exploding. The question is, why? The answer isn't hard to find. Confidence in fiat money, also known as government dollars to most of you who are listening. Confidence in fiat money generally, and the US dollar specifically, is waning. That means people are not confident in the US dollar.
It's literally failing. Look at how much was printed this year.
And no wonder. To stimulate the economy and fund voracious government spending, the Federal Reserve has been printing money at a frightening clip. Its balance sheet tipped $7 trillion in 2020. And all indications are they are not yet done. This unprecedented pumping has sparked inflation fears. Inflation fears? Yeah, I don't know. Plywood, I think somebody's telling me today, last year was about $24 for a sheet of plywood, and now it's
look, it's
$50.
It's certainly way more complicated than you're making it out to be. But part of that is inflation.
But we are seeing inflation in
Absolutely.
That's my point of bringing that up. Is they're saying it sparked inflation fears.
I'm just concerned that there's an economist somewhere who's going to try and call you out in his head. So
there probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There probably, I would, 603-283-6160.
Yeah, give us a call and tell us why we're wrong.
The explosion of cryptocurrency. Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped a paragraph. I think there is enormous risk we are running. Economist and former Harvard President Lawrence Summers recently observed, I think there's a real possibility that within the year we're going to be dealing with the most serious, incipient inflation problem we have faced in the last 40 years. The explosion of cryptocurrencies, the market recently broke the $2 trillion mark, is a sign that markets are hedging against inflation. It's a sign that many fear that governments are pushing the dollar to its breaking point. And I really can't disagree with them. We know mathematically that it's not sustainable. Mathematicians have, looked at the problem. They say, well, I mean, the government could probably do some things to slow some things down here and there, but mathematically it's inevitable.
Yep. If they continue what they're doing as they're doing now, it's going to fail.
603-283-6160. Are you seeing price inflation? More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Free Talk Live.
As long as the majority of people say that you can't smoke in public, or the majority of people say you can't have a windmill in your yard, or the majority of people say you can't wear your pants down around your butt, or the majority of people say that you can't contract to live with the person you want to live with, or the majority of the people say that you've got to pay for public schools. As long as the majority says it, it must be okay, because crowds have wisdom. Oh, come on.
Nonsense.
Crowds lynched people for being witches.
There's so many instances in history where we acknowledge now that the majority was massively and horribly wrong.
Yes.
But why aren't we acknowledging it? That, look, we've had precedent for that. Why aren't we acknowledging it now in terms of how we decide how we're going to interact with each other? That, look, maybe that's not a good way to figure out right and wrong. That the majority believes in a certain thing. And that's how we find out right from wrong.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live. We are the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number that you would need to do that is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about this article from FEE, the Foundation for Economic Education, that talked a bit about Trevor Lawrence, the newly drafted NFL football player, taking his entire signing bonus in cryptocurrencies. And it has moved on to talk about why our cryptocurrency is sort of going bonkers right now. The explosion of cryptocurrencies is a sign that many fear government is pushing the dollar to its breaking point. Hayek argued that governments simply can't help themselves. Once lawmakers realize their control over money can serve as not just a medium of exchange, but as a source of power and ill-gotten wealth, they inevitably manipulate currency in ways that harm its value. And you can take this back to the Roman Empire. You can take this back to actually really any empire-ish type thing that has risen and fallen. You can always look at their economic, what's the word I'm thinking of? The economic ups and downs, the chart of their economy and their currency to see where that particular empire, that particular, state, if you will, failed.
Yeah.
So since the function of government in issuing money is no longer one of merely certifying the weight and finesse of a certain piece of metal, but now involves a deliberate determination of the quantity of money to be issued, governments have become wholly inadequate for the task, and, it can be said without qualifications, have incessantly and everywhere abused their trust to defraud the people, Hayek wrote. There was only one real solution, he concluded. I don't believe we shall ever have good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government.
Yay.
Yes, Mr.
Thank
Hayek.
you, Satoshi Nakamoto. You did it.
Hayek observed this in a 1984 interview with James Blanchard III. Because we can't take it violently out of the hands of government, all we can do is by some sly, roundabout way introduce something they can't stop.
Wow. It's so cool. Wait, this is still Hayek?
Yep.
It's so cool. He said that back way before he could have even imagined Bitcoin.
Yep.
And he was describing what happened.
And he says, or the article continues, well, we found a peaceful way to do precisely what Hayek described. People like Russell Okung, Trevor Lawrence, and countless others are smart enough to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not, even if we didn't have cryptocurrency, one of the things that any investor type is going to tell you is you don't invest in dollars. I mean, generally speaking.
Right.
I mean, if you're a trader in fiat, fine. But most people, you don't want to invest in dollars because dollars go down in value. You want to invest in other sorts of assets that are going to go up in value over time.
You mean Forex, different currency trading, or do you mean like having a house instead of...
Some people take advantage of the differences between euros and dollars, for example, or other fiat currencies. So, and you can potentially make money off of those trades, just like you kind of do with crypto currencies.
So I said I had three things that I wanted to highlight here because the question originally was, is Bitcoin, are cryptocurrencies, more to the point, going mainstream? And so this, again, from Bitcoin.com, actress Mila Kunis reveals, I'm using cryptocurrencies after getting into Bitcoin with Ashton Kutcher 8 years ago. For those of you who don't know who these people are, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher were on That 70s Show.
Yeah, even I know who they are, and I don't know names for anybody for TVs and movies and things like that.
She's always been my favorite, female celebrity. I think she's the prettiest.
Yeah, I mean, these are very well-known people. If you don't know who they are, I'm surprised.
Mila Kunis initially thought that investing in Bitcoin was a horrible idea. However, now she's using cryptocurrencies and said she has never been happier to be wrong. Famous film and TV actress Mila Kunis, who's married to actor Ashton Kutcher, talked about Bitcoin on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on Thursday. She explained that before making an investment, Kutcher would run them by her. The best part about him is he's really smart about including me in everything and making sure that I'm aware of everything that is happening, Kunis shared. She started dating Kutcher in 2012, and the pair married in July of 2015. He's also really smart at knowing that sometimes you shouldn't listen to your wife, she opined.
Yeah.
She says, early into our dating, two things came up, Kunis described. They were Uber and Bitcoin. And that's strange that these are the two things. I don't say strange. It's actually kind of cool that these are the two things that she's highlighting that came up earlier in their relationship. Because Uber and Bitcoin are birds of a feather, right? What Uber did was decentralize ride sharing, right?
And working.
Well, right, and created, was a direct contributor to the gig economy. Bitcoin, of course, threatens the banking system as peer-to-peer, trading and that kind of a thing. So both of these are what they call disruptive technologies.
Absolutely.
Right. And so that's why they're birds of a feather. So she said that the two things that came up early in their dating were Uber and Bitcoin. After listening to Kutcher explain that Uber is like a cab company, but anybody can drive the cab, Kunis said. That's the worst idea ever, she said. When he asked her to try the service out, she panicked. I was like, you're going to put me in a car with a stranger? What's wrong with you? I was furious, she recalled.
Do you know your taxi driver? Because I don't.
No, and I never did. I just called the cab company, and a guy would show up in a car who was a stranger.
So. I guess she's assuming that these cab companies do, super, super good background checks, but that doesn't get everything.
No, they don't. They were all subcontractors.
The crazy thing is, I think people are under this idea that just because a business is licensed, that there's some sort of checking going on in the background, that these aren't serial killers. And the reality is, some of them are.
Yep. When Ashton Kutcher pitched the idea of Bitcoin to her, Kunis said, he sat me down and was like, hey, babe, I got to explain this thing to you. Tell me if I'm crazy. He's like, there's a thing. It's like mining for money. It's called cryptocurrency. And there's this, he called it a company, apparently. It's called Bitcoin, she continued. And she said, I was like, well, I think it's a horrible idea. And he went, cool, we're investing in it.
That's great.
And so he didn't listen to me, and this happens all the time, according to her. The actress confirmed that she and Kutcher went into Bitcoin more than 8 years ago, admitting that initially she was concerned that Bitcoin was not FDIC insured, even though Kutcher tried to convince her that was the exact point of buying cryptocurrency.
And this is the crazy thing. If you're risk adverse, that actually puts you into a lower tax bracket, right? Effectively, or you make less money over your lifetime. There are certain points where you want to take that or reduce your risk, but especially early on in your life, you should be taking more risky action, because more risky action ends up in the long term, assuming you're not making really bad decisions, you end up having more wealth, because the more risk you take, the more money you can potentially make from those risks.
Yeah, you're getting yourself in more opportunities.
Right. You're going to fail.
This is done with 401.
Okay.
This is done with 401k plans, retirement plans.
Exactly.
When you work for an employer. When you're young, you want to go with low risk, so you can build up your account.
Right.
And then the closer you get to retirement age, the more aggressive you want to be. So you want to revisit that every couple of years with your employer and go, oh, well, I'm getting closer to retirement now. Let's crank this thing up a little bit in the risk department.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people don't really understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And it's like, a lot of the things I say, they're not applicable to just cryptocurrencies. They're applicable to other things. And it's basically, I'm basically repeating what financial advisors have told like my parents and, myself and others. And it's like, it's you're doing the same thing. It's just a different item this time. It's a different asset, or however you want to phrase it.
603-283-6160. What are you investing in? More Free Talk Live is on the way.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you to go this way? You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, welcome back to the Friday night edition of Free Talk Live. The phone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to call in and talk about, well, anything. It's called Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
I just want to finish up this bit from Bitcoin.com talking about Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher using cryptocurrencies. The last bit is a quote from Mila Kunis herself, and it says, "It's ludicrous, and yet here we are. And I Airbnb everything. I Uber everywhere, and I use cryptocurrencies. So guess what? I've never been happier to be wrong." And I like that statement because a lot of folks, when they first look into cryptocurrency or they discover cryptocurrency, they have a fear, right? The fear of the unknown. They don't, what is it? What's going to happen? Am I going to lose?
Fear is not necessarily a bad thing to have.
Right.
The problem is when you aren't willing to take any risks. And that's most people. And that's why most people are not doing that well financially.
Well, you have to do your own research into the topic and then decide if it's something you want to do.
Right.
Instead of just going, oh, God, no, that sounds horrible, and run away quickly.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you start off with a little bit of, throw a little bit of money in crypto. And as you get used to it over a couple of years, you become conscious of the little issues that you've got, like the dips and things, and you don't pull out. And if you don't pull out, well, then in the long term, you end up doing very well. But in the short term, yes, cryptocurrencies can go down. Cryptocurrencies are very much like things were, prior to the 1930s, I think, when a lot of the regulations came in. And it's before FDIC insurance and things like that, but it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. The problem was how people behave. And if you learn to adjust to those dips, you don't end up in the poorhouse.
Right.
And that's what people should do, not advocate for regulations.
Right. If you just get a little bit of cryptocurrency, you should just watch it for a while. If you've never traded it, you've never bought or sold anything with it or whatever, you should just get some and then watch it for a while.
Get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And don't overdo it. That's the other thing. Just don't overdo it.
You'll watch it go up and down, and like when it goes down, you won't really be that mad anymore because you'll be like, oh, it just went down. But it's still already like more money than what I already put in, and it slowly goes up and up and up.
When your $50 turns into $500, if it goes down to $300, who cares? You still made $250, right?
Yeah, just take that $50 out once you've made $300 and keep playing with the $250 that you created out of thin air.
Before we go on, I need to tell you that Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? I know I do. Well, freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and, of course, the rise of the police state. Freedoms, with an S, phoenix.com. Again, freedomsphoenix.com. So, did you have any other thoughts?
Nope, just
okay. All right.
Play with the house's money.
I interrupted you. I want to make sure you got your full
No, you
thought
didn't. That was it.
All right. I'll tell you a little anecdote. A friend of mine named Chris, not you, Chris, different. I know so many Chris's. It's ridiculous. At some point, he was gifted 0.01 BTC. And this was near the time when I first tried to come out here, so it's probably been 7 years or something. I don't know. It's been a while. And so he gave this thing to me as like a going away. He's like, I know you're really into Bitcoin. I'm totally not into Bitcoin. And, I got this from, my grandparents. I don't remember who. He got this gift of 0.01 Bitcoin. And it was one of those certificates, right? With like the peel off thing.
Oh, yeah. I remember those back in the day.
And it was like in its own hermetically sealed package, like like baseball cards used to be or something like that.
Yeah.
Hermetically sealed, like they were using alchemy to seal these things.
They were using hermits.
No. Hermit slavery.
A vacuum sealed package. Anyway, so he gave this thing to me. And so, we've seen what Bitcoin has done, particularly over the last 3-4 years or whatever. And so I've just been holding on to it. The dude was unemployed for a little while, and he just got a new job the other day, and he's like, "Hey, guess who's got 2 thumbs and got a job, right?" And I'm like, "Hey, congrats, man." And so I said, "Hey, do you have a crypto wallet?" He's like, "No, I don't have one yet." I'm like, "Well, go download Edge. Let me do some testing with you, right?" And so he did, and I sent him just a test amount of like $20 or something, and we had to wait because it was BTC. So we were just BSing on our conversation, waiting for the transaction to go through, and I finally saw it confirm. I'm like, "Hey, check your wallet now." He's like, "Oh, dude, I own cryptocurrency again. That's awesome." I sent him a photo of the thing that he sent me. I'm like, "You remember this?" He's like, "Heck yes, I remember that. God, that thing's got to be worth I think it was a $5 gift when he got it." He's like, "That's got to be worth like $300 or $400 by now." And so I go and I look it up, and I'm like,
$4,000.
I'm like, "No, it's 0.01." So it was a $5 gift. It was now worth $552 last night. And so I sent him the balance. So he has a full $552 in Bitcoin right now in his wallet. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great. Not only am I back to working it again, but now I've got some cryptocurrency to play with. This is awesome. I can't believe you held on to it and gave it back to me." So I thought it was pretty cool. It made for a good story anyway.
Excellent story. Yeah.
So, yeah, if your friends give you some cryptocurrency, maybe hold on to it for a while, see what it turns into, and then thank them in some way, shape, or form later on after you've made a tidy profit. All right, we're going to switch topics. We're going to change direction. We've been talking about, you guys, I coined the term Vaxport. You know what it is already. It's a vaccine passport. Vaxport. Right? It's a portmanteau.
Yeah.
Right? You guys know I'm a huge portmanteau fan. Well, this from WFSB.com, Eyewitness News, Channel 3. Let's see, where are they out of? It doesn't say. Perhaps Montana? I'm not sure. At any rate, these new wristbands are a wearable way to prove that you are vaccinated. That's right.
Yeah, I'm not vaccinated. I'm not proving it to you.
They got these little wristbands. They're all blue and white, and they've got like your name on it with a QR code. That's right. That doesn't sound creepy at all. Immuniband is a blue silicone bracelet that has 2 purposes. First, it has a built-in QR code that carries your COVID-19 vaccination card's information that can be used as a backup for people who lose or misplace their CDC vaccination card. Immuniband's second function is to show an outward display that a person has been fully vaccinated, thus making them safe to be near.
Oh my God. I so want to get like a clone of this, but like have the wristband be black to show that you're not vaccinated so that, we can all go around, showing, hey, I'm not vaccinated.
I'm going to get a t-shirt that has my STD results when I don't have AIDS. So everyone knows I don't have AIDS.
Oh,
that's the same thing.
Right. Yes.
That's so cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Literally.
It would make people cringe if you substitute coronavirus for, any other disease, really, any other debilitating type of thing.
It should make them feel safe that I don't have AIDS.
And first of all, the coronavirus isn't that bad.
Yeah, you've had it.
I've had it. Right?
So a bunch of people here have had it, actually.
Yeah, I've had it.
I think we've all probably had it. And I don't think any of us have, had any kind of lasting, damage, other than maybe a little bit of breathing problems. But not anything that would be, something to be freaking out over.
Even the breathing problems that I had went away after, the last week, right?
Yeah.
I'm a former smoker, and I smoked really heavily, sometimes 2.5, as many as 3 packs in a day. But I've been quit for over a decade now. So, but even when I get like a cold or something, all my symptoms go away, and it goes right into my lungs, and I cough for a while.
Right. So I think I want to say the worst that I've seen, other than 70-year-old who died, is basically lasting breathing issues, but only so minor they're almost not noticeable.
Yeah, and Arya is the only person I know who's had the lack of taste and smell for this long. She's had it for like a month now, right?
Oh, she still can't taste
really?
it? I was not aware of this.
I guess it's just like it's not as good as it used to be or something. But yeah, with me it was like a week and a half, and that was crazy. Like I was like, oh my God, I can't deal with this anymore, and it finally went away.
It is weird how different people have the different symptoms. Right? Because I had a week of sleeping and then being cold and hot. right? I would be shivering but sweating, right? Or, or the opposite of that, which whatever that is. But yeah, it was interesting to compare the different symptoms with how other people have their symptoms too. They manifest differently. 603-283-6160. Our number 3 is next. This is Free Talk Live.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
They're filing suit. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 2 states taking the Biden administration to court over how Homeland Security carries out deportations.
The attorneys general of Arizona and Montana asked a judge Friday to suspend the deportation guidance issued to Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE, while their lawsuit against Homeland Security plays out. The guidance limited who should qualify for deportation to those who posed a national security threat, just recently crossed the border, or had been convicted of an aggravated felony. In their complaint, they cite statistics showing that since the guidance was activated in February, ICE deportations fell by almost 50%. In the DHS memo, the acting director of ICE explains that guidance is needed due to limited resources which require prioritizing who gets removed. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Earlier today, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was at a border facility in Donna, Texas, highlighting a decrease in the number of children being held in border facilities, saying they used to wait for days before being transferred to Health and Human Services. Now it's about 24 hours. And he said pathways will be put in place so parents don't feel like they have to put their children in the hands of smugglers.
There is unanimous agreement that our immigration system is broken and immigration reform is desperately needed.
He says Congress has passed laws that would allow the reforms to happen. The Justice Department is proposing a rule that would broaden the definition of a firearm, requiring some gun-making kits to have a serial number, as President Biden has promised to crack down on so-called ghost guns, which are homemade guns that are untraceable because they don't have serial numbers. The owner of a bar in Northern California is under arrest after authorities say he made to order fake COVID vaccination cards were sold to undercover agents for $20 each. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that Cleopatra dated 3 different emperors? You would if you watched the series Women Who Made History on Curiosity Stream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
Another round of indirect talks in Vienna between the U.S. and Iran.
The Biden administration is looking to rejoin a deal with other international partners aimed at reining in Iran's suspect nuclear program. The Trump administration left it in 2018. In comments today, President Biden says he is still waiting to see how serious Iran is. There had been talk recently, mostly from Iranian state media, that an agreement was imminent. While no specific progress was made today, all sides agreed technical talks would continue. The UN nuclear watchdog agency, the IAEA, is set to lose important oversight capabilities regarding Iran's nuclear program later this month.
Fox's Greg Palcott. President Biden says he expects to be able to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin soon, as the White House says ongoing differences between the U.S. and Russia would not need to be resolved in advance of a summit. This week, Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the buildup of Russian troops near Ukraine reckless, increasing tensions between the U.S. and Moscow. Britain is beginning to ease its COVID-related bans on travel.
Britain says people here will be allowed to take vacations overseas from the middle of this month, lifting a ban imposed for the coronavirus.
We want to start looking outward again.
Transport Secretary Grant Shapps announced what he called a cautious relaxation. Travellers can visit 17 countries without quarantining when they return to the UK.
We want a summer in which, with the help of vaccines and testings, we can reunite families.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Patrons at a local Boston sports club watched dumbfounded today as an unidentified man's personal trainer forced him to put on an embarrassing athletic spectacle for the entire gym.
Like a machine, there you go.
According to sources, the degrading little show went on for nearly 45 minutes, with the man reportedly being paraded around every section of the fitness establishment, doing anything his trainer commanded.
I wish I could turn around and concentrate on my workout, but I can't help but keep watching. He has to know how ridiculous he looks.
Sources added that the whole spectacle was made even sadder by the personal trainer encouraging the man to, quote, push himself a little harder.
It's like watching a f***ing trained seal. Okay, so when you stand like that, you want to feel pressure in your knees, like this, right here, okay? Okay, give it a shot.
You root for him to tell the trainer that he's a human being with dignity and just walk away. But no, he keeps subjecting himself to this.
All right. Let's have you get on your back and walk like a crab. Come on.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Bonnie, what are you doing over there? You got natty ice? You getting tanked on a Friday night?
No, I have bubbly water.
Oh, right. That's right. The colors look very much like natty ice or one of them cheap light beers, the generic version.
I didn't know you were going to tell on me, Captain.
Neither did I. Neither did I. It just happened.
No, I'm not drinking natty ice.
All right. This is Free Talk Live, in case you were wondering.
Yet.
Still, it is Free Talk Live. And if you want to call in and take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind, you can do that by dialing 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about, or we were beginning to talk about, this story from WFSB Eyewitness News 3 about something called an immunoband. What is an immunoband, you might ask? Well, it's a blue silicone bracelet that has two purposes. One, it has a QR code that carries a whole bunch of your medical data information, including your COVID-19 vaccination information. But the second function is to show an outward display that a person has been fully vaccinated, thus making them safe to be near. So, I mean, this implies that it's not safe to be near people right now, which seems to be that it is. You know, everybody's talking about this 6-foot socialist distancing and all that kind of stuff, wearing the masks and like, no, it's fine. Really, it's fine. You'll get it and you'll get over it unless, you know, you're elderly, you have some exceptional health conditions already. But the same thing can be said for almost every kind of illness. If you are elderly and you have some sort of exceptional medical problem,
you're at greater risk as you age. So yeah,
if you get the flu, yeah.
I don't know. Like I think there's definitely like something to be said about people of a certain age range not being overly outgoing right now, I think, but certainly the majority of people who are alive have nothing to fear.
I remember not too many months ago when Ian was not kidnapped, some lady called in and said something like, I just wanted to let you guys know, like, it's your choice or whatever to not wear the masks, but I am a nurse and I take care of my like father-in-law, so I wear the mask everywhere and I'm really careful. And I wish I was on the show that night. I was listening. I was just like, I would have asked her, like, did you not do that last year because of the flu, you irresponsible woman? You know, like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Old people have always died from the flu.
I mean, I can see a nurse wanting to protect herself or others more so if she deals with patients that, you know, elderly patients especially.
But was she doing it 1 year before when the flu was also already existing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the thing is, like, you'll also often see nurses doing things that the normal population doesn't do. So I don't necessarily know.
She was doing something she wasn't doing a year before, is my point.
Yeah, but there's like different levels of risk, right? Like a year before, she probably was still putting a mask on in certain circumstances, right? Not necessarily
she wasn't
on
visiting
the outside.
this dad or whatever it was. She was always wearing a mask and not visiting this dad, or like she was the only one taking care of him or something like that. Did people avoid their family members a year ago because of the flu?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's not that unreasonable to take some amount of precaution if you're going to see your elderly parent, you know, as opposed to, you know, last year. But I do see. But
it hasn't gone up. The flu went down. So
the flu disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, but you would do the same thing if there was a worse flu, or the flu had more likely than.
But it hasn't proven to be worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. I mean, it depends on, I think, what data you're looking at and how you're interpreting it.
And there's other things other than the flu she could have given him 1 year ago.
Right. So I think, though, looking at it from a different perspective, like I'm going to take the opposite perspective, right? So if I'm looking at this, right, and I'm looking at the data and I'm interpreting it differently than you, and I'm interpreting it as being worse than the flu and more likely to kill my father than the flu was last year, then I might do something, you know, that I didn't do last year. And that's, I think, the perspective that maybe that nurse was looking at it from.
Because she's only getting her information from the government. Yeah, exactly. What you just talked about is the root problem. The only reason that she thinks that there's some big difference this year is because the government is pushing this narrative that it's so much worse, and it's really not. If you look at, like, have you seen any of the work Tom Woods has been doing on this? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's different perspectives. There's different experts giving different perspectives on this, on the data too. So, like, I know that the government, I know it's easy to just, you know, say the government, but there's different experts, you know, both government and non-government and in different governments, right, that are giving, you know, different opinions on this. Not everybody's opinion is the same.
Well, the immunoband is something that scares me because scare is probably not the right word. It concerns me because this is just a different way. It seems like almost every week we cover something that resembles papers, please.
Yeah, I think that is a
and like all
more disturbing aspect of
all
this,
of
right?
the previous things that they've launched to try and do this, right? Oh, we're going to embed a microchip, or we're going to make it, we're going to track you on your phone with an app, with,
right?
That kind of thing. All of these things haven't come to fruition, and so it seems to me like they're softballing stuff out there to see what people might accept. And this, to me, seems like the next thing in their arsenal. They're like, well, what if it's just a silicone wristband that people have to wear, right? Like, are people dumb enough to go for that? This new technology in the form of a wearable wristband could carry your COVID-19 vaccination card's information and tell others around you that you've been fully vaccinated. How does this Immuniband work? Wearers have to upload their vaccination cards for review before they can receive the band. The documentation is stored on a server compliant with medical privacy laws, and the process is end-to-end encrypted, the company said in a news release. The company makes two bands, one with just the QR code and another with the QR code plus the wearer's name and type of vaccine they received. That is the brand name. It'll say, Chris, and then it'll say Moderna or Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson on it. The bands are both priced at $19.99. So this is a free market thing. The code can be scanned with a smartphone to prove vaccination, the company said. So before I go on reading this, I just want to say that, yes, this is the market in action, seeing a need and filling it.
So
right?
What would stop somebody from going out there just selling the same thing, basically, but not certifying, or not looking at those records? And for $10, I mean, this doesn't sound like something that would be expensive. I'm pretty sure
it's not illegal to sell blue silicone wristbands with a QR code on it.
Right.
Well, they would have to be able to be scanned,
and nobody's going to check
right?
it.
And like go.
No, because nobody's going to actually check this. I mean, this is a show thing. I mean, this is a fashion statement. I mean, think about this for a moment.
Maybe in some circumstances you'd be right, but there might be like, oh, you need to get your wristband scanned to come into this, sports show or something.
But most people are not going to have this or go out and buy it.
Yeah.
One Philadelphia restaurant is using Immunibands to try to make customers feel more comfortable by making clear its employees are vaccinated. Most of the staff members at El Mercury sport the Immuniband, according to CNN affiliate WPVI. The owner of El Mercury, Sophia De Leon, told WPVI she made the move so customers would know it was safe to eat from her restaurant. Because, all the restaurants that stayed open that didn't have this weren't safe before. I mean, it was
there's a risk. There's a risk to living, right? Like, there's a risk to getting in your car. I mean, if you really think there is a sufficient enough risk, right, don't go out, right? Like it's not that hard.
I agree. She goes on to say, it was really important for me to have everybody vaccinated, to have everyone come back to work and feel safe, De Leon said. Immuniband President Tashoff Burnton, that's an interesting name, told CNN restaurants in Los Angeles and Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, have also bought into the bans. Benton said he hopes the use will become more widespread and help demonstrate support for the vaccination program and help people feel more comfortable as the economy continues to open. It's a way of saying, look, I'm safe, and try to de-escalate some of the tension and fear that people feel about a year into the lockdown. A portion of the profits from the bans go to COVID relief and recovery efforts. So,
sounds like a scam.
Yeah, and I mean, the fear that you feel of other people is manufactured. It's been manufactured by propaganda, propped up and provided by the institution known as government. More Free Talk Live is on the way. 603-283-6160.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, welcome back to Free Talk Live. What is a Free Talk Live, you might be asking? And ask you might. Free Talk Live is a live call-in radio talk program where you can call in and take control of the airwaves. Talk about anything, whatever's on your mind. You don't have to talk about what we're talking about. You don't have to. Our screening process is really rudimentary, and you can talk about whatever. We only have a few rules, of course, which are if you call, you're probably going to have to wait on hold to get screened. And then the other bit is that you can't say essentially the 7 dirty words that George Carlin made famous. Because we are broadcast on terrestrial radio stations, and sadly, the FCC still exists.
You know, I have to say, I really don't like how how it's our rules. It's like, it's not really our rules. It's the FCC rules. And if the stations aren't going to be able to broadcast it, if people were to say those things.
Right. And we're trying to get on more radio stations and spread the message of peace, liberty, and prosperity, not less stations. So if you call in and you cuss, you're getting dumped, and you'll probably be hung up on. So those are the only real rules that we have. Other than that, you could talk about whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And on March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, the home of Renee and Andy Spinella, and the home of Colleen Fordham. These people are known as the Crypto Six. All six were arrested and taken into custody. And Ian Freeman and the person named Nobody continue to remain hostages in custody. What can you do to help? Well, you can check out thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund, because these charges are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal firepower to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. Let's go to the phones. We have Dave calling from Washington. Dave, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hey, y'all. Well, how dare you say George Carlin? Aren't you woke enough? I mean, he definitely is a name that can't be stated. He would not have a career if he was born and running his system now. But really quick, too, because you guys were mentioning COVID there about everybody being crazy about it, I just had to throw out that for all the crazies that are still lunatics about this, now that everybody has been vaccinated, that's the at-risk people, at least if you've wanted to get vaccinated, the people who are left are the people who are either healthy, young. The death rate that used to be under 0.5% for everybody and without vaccines is now like 1/100th of a percent. It's such a low amount of death that you get from the people that are out there still that are unvaccinated.
It always was. I mean, it was always a greater than 99% chance recovery rate, despite the amount of people that have been fear-mongered onto your televisions and your smartphones.
Exactly. Now you take all the unhealthy people out of the equation, it's even lower. So Anyway, I was just saying for the call screener that this whole free stuff is just killing me. This is what's going to continue the death knell for the country. Just free everything free stuff. It's everything from, if you go back to way back, you got the sun on the Statue of Liberty that's bastardized by all kinds of people. They try and make it to where, we're supposed to welcome all comers because it says so on the Statue of Liberty. We're just a free and open, nation. That's not what that means. The sun on the Statue of Liberty is about opportunity. It's telling you that if you're oppressed and where you are living currently, doesn't respect you and treat you right and you feel oppressed, well, guess what? You can try and get into the country of the United States. And if you get here, you have the opportunity to make something of yourself. And there were people in the Wayback Machine who would arrive here and they'd have everything that they had would be sold just to buy a wagon train. They'd take that wagon train across the country and, try and get a plot of land and do something with it. And if they didn't make it, they failed. Their whole house would go up in the Dust Bowl, and the government didn't bail them out. They had to pull themselves up and try again.
Luckily, it doesn't have to be like that anymore. You can get rich with Dogecoin on the internet.
Dogecoin, exactly.
Well, I know.
don't know. I just can't.
I just want to compare, Dave, the people that you're talking about, right? We're talking about pioneers, right? They didn't really have anything. Sometimes they lost everything and had to rebuild or figure out how to survive in some other way. This pales in comparison to most of the population I see walking around today. Most of the population I see walking around today, I would say they've been very comfortable for most of their lives.
Exactly. And anyone living in this country is much more comfortable. Even if you're one of the poorest people in this country, you're a heck of a lot more comfortable than you are in other countries. When I was in the military, I traveled to some countries where you want to talk third world countries and not having a very good, life. Those are the places where you're not happy if you're living there. So I get a little torqued by people who complain and bitch about this country when they are dang lucky to have been born here. No matter what you are, you have the chance to go from like Oprah Winfrey, who her parents were not really wealthy. She wasn't from a wealthy background. And look what she did. She turned herself into a billionaire. The examples are numerous. But the free stuff, even free college, this kind of stuff drives me crazy because
free college drives me nuts because and especially I don't know if you've heard of this new bill, Dave, where Biden wants to make it state-sponsored kindergarten and preschool, and then also add community college to the end of that. So you're talking about, instead of 12 years, you're talking about 13, 14, maybe as many as 16 years that the government is going to have your children. I can't understand, the government can't even get more than 1 out of 5 children that graduates from public school, high school, is functionally illiterate. So the government can't even get everybody to read. That 1 in 5, 20% are functionally illiterate. What do they think they're going to accomplish with 4 more years of your child's life? I can't think of anything. Whatever they're not getting through to your children in the 12 years that they have them isn't worth it in my book.
And they're afraid of charter schools. You can't have your choice to send them somewhere else. The college thing, though, if you have free college, one of the biggest problems with that is that you have no skin in the game. And when you have no skin in the game, a lot of people who would otherwise maybe not go to college, it's like, well, all my friends are going to college, I guess I'll go there too. And there's lots of parties and fun, and you can do all kinds of things. I went to college, and I can tell you my freshman year, I was not the greatest student either. I was, indulging in all kinds of the other stuff people do. And I was paying my own way. If I had the check paid for by somebody else, it'd be even easier to say, oh, heck, where's the next party? I'm a firm believer that if you have skin in the game, you always are going to have your maximum effort applied. Does not work.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Dave. We appreciate it. Did you have something you want to get at?
I was just going to say, I was a valedictorian, so I looked it up recently, and most valedictorians don't do any better than the average high school student.
Oh, snap.
That's really an interesting stat.
Zing!
Such as me.
Here on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning into the show. It is Free Talk Live. What is Free Talk Live? Well, we're a live call-in radio talk program where you can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And I wanted to tell you about ForkFest 2021, where you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, but ForkFest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party, where you can connect with other attendees. You can find the unofficial Telegram chat, and also there's an unofficial forum. Again, links to those can all be found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Come party with us. It'll be a good time.
You better act fast, though, because their space is running out.
Yeah, the week before, which is the Porcupine Freedom Festival, is sold out. And so folks are going, oh, well, I guess we'll have to go to ForkFest then. And that's pretty great for ForkFest. But indeed, do act now.
The week after, so during ForkFest, they were running out of space even then when I called, and that was weeks ago now. So you might be out of time. If you're not, you better call now, because if you don't, you might not get a spot.
Agreed. Let's go to the phones. We've got Jill calling. Jill, are you in Virginia or West Virginia? Virginia. Okay, Jill's calling for Virginia. And
yes.
What's on your mind tonight? You're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, this notion that they want to expand
and college education and make it free for everybody, and even rent children from their homes and stick them into school younger and younger. I think this is wrong. The whole thing's wrong. In the first place, I believe the proper function of government, since government necessarily involves force, the proper function of government is only to protect man, includes woman and child, of course, against force. Fraud and violence are forms of force. To protect the person against force and to punish same. And that's all. So, and since education is not part of this, it's not a police function, it shouldn't be a part of government, and except maybe for some technical training in the military and maybe some police academies. Otherwise, government shouldn't be involved in it. It should not be government financed or government operated. That's one thing.
Why do we need a public military? Why can't we just privatize it?
Because that you need to have it under some rules, and you need to have it under some kind of rule and system so it can be controlled better.
Doesn't that already exist? Isn't there rules of engagement?
I would have to say that she might be right if we had to take the United States as one giant country. It's just too big to be a country. There's too many different cultures going on within it. If we had just states like, everywhere else in the world pretty much, then we could protect our own states with just privatized militaries, I think.
And do you really have an interest?
I don't want privatized military.
Would you even have an interest in, protecting yourself against mass, or Vermont? I mean, what are they going to do? Or Maine? I mean, do we really have anything to worry about them attacking?
Some states might decide to have less money going into their private militaries.
Hang on, because Jill said something important. She said, I don't want a privatized military. Jill, can you tell us what the differences would be between a privatized military and the military we have now?
The military that is answerable to the citizens according to the Constitution, according to law.
So to a community then, right? A community of people?
Under some decent control. You don't want it getting out of control and having a police state.
Oh, it's out of control.
We already have a police state. We already have an out-of-control military. I don't see how it could get any worse.
The spending through the Pentagon is way worse than even just what they're doing with the colleges.
So, Jill, from my perspective, what I foresee is a community that comes together and says, hey, we need to subscribe to some sort of a service to provide defense. And so you go and you find
police force,
So you go, hang on. You go and you find somebody who's providing defense services and you sign a contract with them as a community, as a group of people. Now, because you signed a contract with them, they are now beholden to fulfill the obligations of the contract. And if they don't, why, you can just fire that particular group of people and go find a new group of people who will perform the actions in your contract.
So,
as opposed to what we have now, where when government does a poor job, your only choice is to vote. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't fire the entity that is screwing up. You can't even hold them accountable. You can't even get the government to give you the equivalent of an elementary report card about what they're doing. I don't see how the military that we have now would be any better than privatized military.
Good grief. Well, you can have laws about what the military can and cannot do. We already have a few of those. We have the Constitution and so forth.
And women still go missing in the military all the time because they've been raped by their commanders and have to hide it.
Yeah, it's mostly about, I think it's a lot of it's about efficiencies, and then of course not wasting money like on a service that you can't use or you don't use or are doing things that are not in your interest, right? So I can't choose to opt out of the war in Afghanistan or paying for that war, right? But if it was privately funded, I could opt out of paying for that war, right?
What I think about taxation is this.
It's that
to provide for protection against crime, there would be something like the present sales tax, except it would be voluntary. If a store, for instance, was open for a certain number of days, whatever it was in that locality, then the official could come in and say, well, this store, are you the owner of this store? Yes. Well, this store has been open for 60 days. Now, I notice you haven't signed up to pay your law enforcement fee. Do you want to pay it by by the week, by the month, quarterly.
How is this not extortion?
I'm not paying for any law enforcement fee. All right, suit yourself. But if somebody comes into this store and holds you up, don't call 911.
But they don't say, okay, suit yourself. They say you're going to jail for not paying.
This place will be on the list of places that have refused to pay. So you, I'll protect myself. Good luck with that. I suppose 3 or 4 of them come in here. I noticed you got a couple of kids in here. These your children, yeah. Well, don't you think it would be better for you to pay your law enforcement fee? And then
so Jill, let me ask you a question.
Would say this place is protected.
What if a swindler did exactly what you're describing?
Hey, Jill, we got to stop you. Let us ask you a couple of questions here. What you're describing sounds exactly like every mafia film I've ever seen, where the mafia folks go around and they go, "Hey, we gotta get your protection fee," and they go, "Well, I don't want to pay your protection fee. I can protect myself just fine." And they go, "Oh, well, that's okay because I guess you're on your own if somebody comes around." And then they come around and bust up the store or whatever. Right? This is what you see in the movies now.
Wouldn't be allowed to do that, and he could certainly go and sue them.
Well, the government.
They do things they're not allowed to do all the time. You can't sue them.
The government is the biggest gang in town. I mean, how can you? If you get rid of government, you literally get rid of 90% of the problems, right? Like, I understand there's still going to be 10% of problems from people who are not government.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight,
most of the problems go away.
Yeah, I can't see how what we have now can compete in a fair marketplace.
Nope.
It can't.
It can't.
It just can't. It'd take a while to build it out and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it can't. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Hewlett-Packard is known for their basic, no-frills computers, but that doesn't mean they can't keep up with the latest technology. In a press release yesterday, HP said, quote, "We are excited to begin offering that cloud thing that everyone is talking about. We definitely have the cloud on our computers, and it is better than anyone else's cloud." Earlier today, I sat down with HP spokesman Gary Klinman, who said the company couldn't wait to show people, quote, how they do their cloud stuff.
We are absolutely thrilled that now people with computers or phones, both will now be able to back things up to the cloud.
Klinman says it isn't surprising they're, quote, up on the cloud, considering they're on the cutting edge of all the latest tech trends. Are there any additional features?
Crowdsourcing is something we are having. Crowdsourcing 2.0. We have social sharing, We have 5G, 6G, really all the Gs. We have app. We have all of it in the computer.
This is the Onion News Network.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live. We are the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've actually got a caller on hold, and we'll get to him momentarily. But first, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Ukraine 79. Ukraine 79 is a silver-level amplifier. If you don't know what an amplifier is as it relates to Free Talk Live, well, AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And what you can do is go to amp.freetalklive.com, and you can see there's different levels of contributions. What do these contributions go towards? They go towards specifically getting this radio program on more radio stations nationwide. We're currently around 200 radio stations. We could be on more. We could be on 250. We could be on 300, even more stations. It's all up to you. You can go find out more at amp.freetalklive.com. And again, thank you to Ukraine 79. He's tonight's amplifier at the silver level. We appreciate you, Ukraine 79. All right. I've been sitting on this. Oh, yeah. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
I've been sandbagging this story all day because I don't even know what to think about it. This from Gizmodo.com. Woman hit with embezzlement charges for a 20-year-old overdue VHS tape rental. Yes, you heard that right. You remember VHSs, guys? They were like the big boxy looking things.
Yeah.
You used to be able to rent the VHS players from the convenience stores or the Blockbuster Video.
I remember being in college and...
I don't remember being in college. I was there, but I don't remember it.
Well, that's good. I don't remember the first 2 years, but the second 2 years I remember. And renting a VHS player.
Yes. In my school, they had the top-load VHS player. So whenever they'd wheel in what they called the AV cart.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It had a big old TV on the top and the top-load VHS player. So anyway, back in the day, for those of you who are under 30 or something.
So, Bonnie, do you remember that?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I had like Disney movies on VHS. Apparently, those are expensive now, but we don't have them anymore at all. And all the Nickelodeon ones would be orange. And I went to Blockbuster with my dad. That was like the most fun thing in the world to me.
So you know what's really funny actually about this is that there's actually people with young kids who still like go and either rent or buy VHS tapes, and they have VHS players. Like I'm talking about like 3 and 4 year olds now. Like they've got, and there's still people actually buying these tapes.
So there's. Much like the record player didn't go away when cassettes were invented, or 8-track tapes were invented, or CDs were invented, or the MP3 was invented, some people are drawn to retro technology.
I don't think that's it. in this particular case, I think there's actually people still, buying VHS tapes, like, kiddie movies, for their kids. Just because they're
they're probably cheap.
They're not computer literate, right? And so they barely know how to use their Netflix or whatever it is, and so they're still renting.
Maybe it's just old grandmas.
Let me just get through a bit of this article. Let's go to the phones first. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
And Bonnie.
Oh my god. Sounded scary.
Is that all you had to say today, David?
No. I got more. I just got to think of it first.
That was pretty funny.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, I'll put you back on hold. I'll come back to you in just a minute.
I think he's joking.
How we've forgotten what a big deal late fees used to be. In 1999, an Oklahoman woman rented a VHS tape for the then hit sitcom Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original version. About 2 decades later, that VHS tape has come back to haunt her after her failure to return it ended up branding her record with felony embezzlement charges.
This story is actually really crazy, and I'll point it out, but keep going with it. It's even crazier than it sounds.
Karen McBride, spelled Caron, by the way, now living in Texas, first learned about the charges after heading to a local DMV to change her name on a driver's license after getting married. She explained to KOKH, the local Fox affiliate, that the DMV alerted her to an issue she had back in her home state. Charges accusing her of felony embezzlement of rented property back in 2000. McBride would later tell the station that she, understandably, didn't even remember renting the movie in the first place.
So the reason it's so crazy is she didn't rent the movie in the first place. Somebody rented it on her account.
That is true. That is a fact, yes.
Even just the fact that is a possibility should mean that they should just drop their late fees for freaking old technology that people aren't even using anymore.
There should be a time limit for how long a warrant can remain in the system.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk more about that, but first, let's go to the phones and let's see if David in New Mexico is ready to talk.
Maybe. So that government, I was calling about a different aspect of government, but on that subject, I mean, it's common sense that whatever fees are assessed should be capped at the value of the item. Is that not common sense?
You would think so.
I don't necessarily know that the fees ever were higher than the value of the item. The tapes that these VHS rental stores actually rented were metal tapes, I think they usually got, and they were actually purchased for like $60 to $80 back in the day, so that it wasn't the $20 you might remember paying. So when they charged you $25 or $20 or however much it was as a late fee, it wasn't real, and I don't even think it was usually that high. But I think that would be what it would be like if they had to replace the tape or something. But maybe it would have been even higher. But either way, it still wasn't as outrageous as people think.
It makes sense to have the replacement fee be the cap, but we're talking about government, and government makes absolutely no sense at all. So I don't expect that to make sense.
Yeah. On that subject, the government makes no sense at all, because your government that you have now is not the government that was created when this country was formed. They've stolen it from you piece by piece by piece, and they haven't done it lawfully. They've done it unlawfully with the intent of taking it away from you. And so what you need to do now is take it back. I know you want something other than the original, but if you took it back to the original, you'd probably be quite happy with it. For instance, the military, because the founders did not want this.
I got to stop you there, because the Constitution.
No, I got to stop you.
No, I got to stop you.
No, I got to stop you.
All right, I'll stop you for real this time. The Constitution is just words written on paper, and so it either proves that, what's the Lysander Spooner quote I'm looking for?
That it was powerless against it if it even had any power at all.
Right. So it was powerless to prevent the tyranny which occurred, or it just never had the power in the first place. So it is just words written on a piece of paper. And thanks for the call tonight, David. So getting back to this VHS overdue story, court records shared with KOKH showed that the VHS tape was rented at a video rental spot in Norman, Oklahoma, that's been shuttered since 2008. At the time, prosecutors claimed she willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously embezzled the tape after she didn't return the VHS after the 10-day deadline that was on her rental agreement.
Unless there was like something in writing of her saying like, I've got the tape and I'm not returning it. How can they say willfully?
So here's the problem. The problem is that when you used to rent tapes, it was a card usually, and there would be multiple people on an account. So you don't actually know that the account holder did the embezzlement.
Right. According to the docket, the tape was at the time worth just under $60. So to your point, Chris, the tapes were worth a little bit more back in the day for the rental tapes. Arguably, one of the cruelest twists here is that McBride herself probably wasn't even the person that rented the video. She explained that the likely culprit was a man she was living with at the time and his 2 daughters. I've never watched that show in my entire life, just not my cup of tea, she said. Meanwhile, over the past 2 decades, she said that she was let go from several jobs with no reason given. Now she assumes that the felony embezzlement charges on her background checks might have something to do with her being let go from these jobs.
The government hurting people who didn't even harm anybody.
Yeah. Again, this is not a crime. This is not embezzlement. This is somebody who rented a tape on somebody else's account. If anything, the person who rented the tape, unless they had permission to be on the account, might be accused of fraud, for example. Something along those lines. But for somebody to receive felony charges of embezzlement...
I mean, there wasn't any investigation that even occurred clearly, because if there had been, they would have discovered that that wasn't the person to charge.
Yeah, that's true. Naturally, the show's former stars have weighed in and said, oh, this sucks. I'm paraphrasing. Thankfully, there is a happy ending here. The Cleveland court where McBride's case was initially filed was ordered to drop the charges and expunge her record, KOKH reported this past Friday. Likely, I'm guessing, after media got a hold of it and this story ran, because they would never do that voluntarily. We're out of time, folks. Thanks for coming in, you guys. I appreciate both of you. The listeners, thank you for tuning in. This has been Free Talk Live. You can find more at freetalklive.com. Thanks. Peace.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It may have claimed more lives. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The